In today's video we will learn English with Adam and Eve, remembering that it is possible to activate subtitles in Portuguese. Challenge: create a summary or a sentence in English of this story and leave it below in the comments. The story of Adam and Eve is one of the best-known accounts in the Bible, specifically in the first chapters of the book of Genesis. It is often interpreted as an allegory about the creation of humanity and the introduction of sin into the world. Here's a detailed version of the story. The creation of Adam. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. He saw that the light was good and separated the light from the darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. After creating the heavens, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, the plants and the animals in 6 days, God decided to create the human being in his image and likeness to rule over all living beings. On the 6th day, God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. This first man was called Adam. The Garden of Eden. God planted a garden in Eden, in the east, and placed Adam there. The Garden of Eden was a paradise with all kinds of trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden, God placed the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God gave Adam the responsibility of cultivating and keeping the garden. He also gave Adam a clear command. Adam could freely eat from any tree in the garden, except from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for the day he ate from it he would certainly die. The creation of Eve. God realized that it was not good for man to be alone. Then, he caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep, took one of his ribs and closed the place with flesh. From the rib, God formed a woman and brought her to Adam. Adam recognized woman as bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and called her woman, in Hebrew, Isha, because she was taken from man, Ish. This woman was called Eve, which means life, or she who gives life. The temptation and the fall. The Garden of Eden was also home to a serpent, which was more cunning than any wild animal God had made. One day, the serpent approached Eve and questioned God's command, asking, "Is this how God said, 'You shall not eat from every tree of the garden'?" Eve replied that they could eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but not from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, otherwise they would die. The serpent then contradicted God, saying, "You will certainly not die. For God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Eve saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food, pleasing to the eyes, and desirable for making one wise. She took some of the fruit and ate, and she also gave it to her husband, Adam, who was with her, and he ate. Immediately, both of their eyes opened, and they realized that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together to make coverings for themselves. The consequence of sin. Hearing the sound of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, Adam and Eve hid among the trees. God called to Adam, "Where are you?" Adam replied that he heard the voice of God and was afraid because he was naked, so he hid. God asked Adam who had told him he was naked and whether he had eaten from the tree he had commanded him not to eat from. Adam blamed Eve. "The woman whom you gave me to be with me, she gave me from the tree, and I ate." God asked Eve what she had done, and Eve blamed the serpent. "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." God then pronounced judgments on the serpent, Eve, and Adam. He cursed the serpent, condemning it to crawl on its belly and eat dust all the days of its life, and established enmity between the serpent and the woman, and between her offspring and the serpent's offspring. To Eve, God said that he would greatly multiply the pain of her conception, and that, with pain, she would give birth to children. Her desire would be for her husband, and he would rule her. To Adam, God said that the earth would be cursed because of him. With drudgery, Adam would obtain sustenance from the earth all the days of his life. It would produce thorns and thistles, and Adam would eat the grass of the field. By the sweat of his brow he would eat the bread until it returned to dust, for from dust it was formed, and to dust it would return. Expulsion from the Garden of Eden. After pronouncing these judgments, God made clothing of skins for Adam and Eve and clothed them. Then God said, "Behold, the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Now he must not stretch out his hand and also take from the tree of life, and eat, and live forever." To prevent Adam and Eve from taking the tree of life, God expelled them from the Garden of Eden and placed cherubim and a flaming sword that moved in all directions to guard the path to the tree of life. Reflections and interpretations. The story of Adam and Eve is rich in symbolism and has been the subject of countless theological, philosophical, and literary interpretations. Some points for reflection include free will and responsibility. The story illustrates the concept of human free will and responsibility for the choices made. Original sin. Adam and Eve's disobedience is seen as the original sin that brought corruption and death to the world. Relationship between man and woman. The narrative also explores the dynamics between man and woman and how sin affected this relationship. Redemption. Although the story ends with expulsion from paradise, it also sets the stage for the promise of future redemption, which is a central theme in Christianity. The story of Adam and Eve remains a fundamental part of the Judeo-Christian tradition and has profoundly influenced Western culture, art, and morality.